Hi everyone and welcome to the first episode of The Glass Girls, brought to you by Regency Glass. I'm Natalie Bazan.
And I'm Lauren Addy, and today we have Darren Bazan, who is the founder and co-owner at Regency, as well as Wayne Fitzmartin, who is our director at Regency Glass too.
Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
So we thought we'd start with the story and how obviously you both ended up at Regency, or how Regency started to begin with, because we know you've obviously both got different starting points. So if we wanted to kind of go over now how all that progressed and where Regency started.
Way back in 1983. So I've just left school. I'd gone to Manchester College of Building for 2 weeks on a surveying course. And I quickly made my mind up that I'd had enough of studying and needed to get a job somewhere and earn a living. And my father at the time was working, he'd actually set a glass company up by the name of Regency Glass for a neighbour in the lane, Steve Corcoran. And I asked my dad to get me a job, and that's where it started. So I started with my dad at Regency Glass, and then probably 9-10 months later, for various reasons, we decided to leave, and that was the start of Regency Glass.
So heading back to telling your dad that you were leaving college, how did that conversation go?
It didn't go down well.
I don't believe so.
It didn't go down well at all, but he wanted to get some sort of trade, really. I like my surveying, and it was more down that architectural route of buildings and surveying and stuff like that. So that was the course that I'd gone on, but I realised quickly I couldn't handle any more studying, and I wanted to work. And I was playing rugby at the time as well, so both with the rugby, I knew I could earn a living playing rugby as well, so I decided I need to take a job quickly, and he soon got over it, as dads do.
So take us back to when you decided to start Regency up and who you started that with. How did that come about?
I was on the shop floor at Regency Glass, and I still don't know to this day. Myself and my dad had decided that we was going to leave and go on our own, and then there's two other gentlemen who we worked with at the time, Terry Bates and Roy Hilton, and I still don't know to this day how they found out that we was going to leave and start ourselves, and they asked could they join us. So the four of us got our heads together, and that's how Regency started.
And how did you go about finding the first property or place?
Well, I think Terry knew someone by the name of John Blears who had a little shed, and it was literally a shed that had holes in the roof and all sorts of problems. Didn't even have a toilet facility or nothing. We had to go up the road to the local cafe and use the toilet facilities once or twice a day. And we even jumped in our cars and went to the homes of one of our partners and that, because we'd no toilet facilities or nothing. And I think it was about £10 a week rent that we paid in 1982. And Terry had organised this with John Blears, who's no longer with us, bless him. And we started in a small little, probably a couple of 100 square feet. And we just progressed from there. The name came from Terry Bates lived in a street on an estate that was called Regent Road. And we'd all left Regency Glass and decided to come up with some names. So we all went away for the weekend and then came back with a selection of names, and it was Terry's Regent Road. And we changed it from Regent to Regency Road. That didn't sound right, and then we dropped the road, and hence the name Regency was born.
And so getting staff to join in, obviously a new venture, trying to get them to trust into, taking jobs with Regency. How was that at the beginning? How did you find that?
Tough. Like anything, when you first starting a business off and there's only four of you, I mean, we literally sat around a table like this with no idea of how to generate sales, or I don't even know how we got going, to be honest. I think maybe my dad and Roy both knew a couple of tradespeople right in the early days that decided to buy a bit of glass off us, and we just sat. We had a phone and a notepad, and it was the old finger phone that we used to have back in the day. And we used to sit round the table like this, waiting for the phone to ring, but nobody knew our number or nobody knew who we were. But just from, I don't know, we just grew and we just managed to get into a couple of local places where we did remakes quickly and did all the stuff that no one else wanted to do, no other companies wanted to do, and we just built the brand from that. And it's always been service quality. And
so moving forward a few years, Wayne, actually not too far forward, to be completely honest, because you've got quite a history with Regency. What was your story, and when did you start with Regency, and what's your career progression been like?
I started in 92, so I knew Darren a bit, but I knew his brother Dean more. So I'd worked at British Aerospace since leaving school, and they were making redundancies, and I heard that there might be a job available. In fact, I think I hired Dean for a job for quite a while. I remember my first day that I came in, and I was filling spacer bars. And it was the spacer tube, and you put it in a machine, fill it with Desca, and then build it. And when you first start, you're all fingers and thumbs, and you're getting them mixed up. And I remember Darren's dad, Harold, you say, "It's all right." He'd call me Fitzy. "It's all right, Fitzy. Slow down, you'll be all right." And then I remember I did my first morning, and Dean come over, and I said, "What am I doing this afternoon, Dean?" He went, "That." I went, "What? All day?" He said, "Yeah, every day." And I thought, I can't do this all day, every day. Yeah, and I thought, have I come right place? And then I got into it, and I used to push myself, go and learn other jobs. I think Darren and Dean were running upstairs sometimes, answering phones. I'd drop on the jobs because we were in the same little group. Because the more jobs I knew, the more interesting the day would be. And that's I'd probably failed spacers for 2 years, and then I got to butiling them and cutting them, and then started running the spacer department, and then it went from there. Then that's how I started. But I'll never forget that first day. So what am I doing this afternoon? And I couldn't believe that's what all I did all day.
So your natural interest and your desire to know what was going on in the factory is the reason why maybe you worked through the ranks and got yourself to where you are today?
I think sometimes you could get in front and, you could have a few minutes spare, but I'd go and learn something else or go and help somebody else. Or we used to have trolleys of glass, well, we still do, but I'd pull them round to the lines for them so they weren't. Always look through as the busiest and try and give them a lift.
Yeah.
So it just made your day more entertaining, it made it quicker. Because it was quite early on in Regency's days, so you've been going 9 years then, haven't you, Darren? Yeah. I think there was about 25 people worked there when I started. It was like, got some good lads here, and I really got into it, and I like learning, so that's, I just pushed myself and thought, if this place grows, I won't be part of it. And that's what I did from
the start.
From the start.
So 25 people worked here when you started. How many people work here now?
About 130.
130 staff.
Yeah.
From 25.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So we've just discussed both of your relevant paths to Regency. Who would you say is the biggest influence on you and your work?
Well, mine would certainly be my father from the early days, having not agreed for me to be working with him on a shop floor and wanting me to really learn something, a little bit more up the ladder, so to speak. As soon as I got the job with him, he then focused on making sure that I did the job that I was there, which was glass cutting at the time. He made sure I did that to the best of my ability.
Well, I'd replicate what Darren said. It was my dad. My dad were born in Ireland, and he was a builder. And he all the way through me growing up. And I said the same to my own son now. Never stand around. If you've got nothing to do, pick a brush up. So that was that. And then when I got into the glass game, and I don't want his head blow up, but it was obviously Darren. Yeah, Darren learnt me a lot. Took me under his wing at the beginning. Well, not right at the beginning. But when I think when he realised that I probably had some benefit to the company, he took me. And over time, the spell he had in America, he was always there on the phone when I was made director. If there was any problems I had, or if I could go through some certain scenarios that I hadn't come across, in my time learning, he was always there. So
just circling back a little minute, so some of our viewers might not know, but you left the company for a little while, didn't you?
Yes, we sold the company, myself and my brother, in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 10 years out of it, but always on the periphery, like Wayne said, both with Simon, who bought the business, Corpac, and then obviously Wayne was promoted to a director then, and there was overlaps. There's plenty of things that Wayne, didn't know the answers to, or needed, a bit of advice or whatever it may be, and we was always, and we'd spend, when I came back from Florida or from the States, there was times when I'd spend many times with Wayne. So we would discuss work naturally outside of work. And having started the company, you've always got an affiliation with it. It's started from nothing and to what it is today. So,
and I don't think you never interfered. It was me who would ask you a question. It might have been a supplier or a customer that Darren had always dealt with, and something might arise where I'd go, well, I'm new to being, and it's me who's dealing with that now. I'd just pick your brains on certain things, and you never interfered. It was just good to have somebody to have advice. Whether it be having a pint in pub, we'd just bring things up, and that was it.
No, it's the opposite way around. I'm picking all Wayne's brains now.
So moving forward, so obviously you bought back into Regency again, and from there then we've got the move to the new building in 2019, which is where we're currently sat today. So the journey from then to today, what would you say are some of the changes that you've seen, or what progression have you seen in the company since we moved to this new building?
If you look at where we came from, at the old factory, which we call RG1, the hours that we used to put in there and the overtime that the staff used to have to do, because it can be seasonable sometimes. And building up to Christmas is a very busy time. And machines were getting older. We would never, ever let anybody down, ever. It was just not in our thoughts ever to let anybody down. So if that meant that we had to stop till 8 o'clock at night to get tomorrow's delivery ready, that's what we did. So we probably overtraded a bit. Well, then you had to do when you were smaller, because you needed the slower times to be full. So when I look at what our staff are doing in a day here now, they're doing a fabulous job. It's not that they're not doing as much, we put them under too much pressure probably at the old place, and that was nobody's fault. It was just with this. We have this culture of never let anybody down. So it didn't matter what if it was 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, that's what we did. Now that's changed, because we've got better machinery, we've got more space, we've got more staff, and it's a lot easier, and people can have a life out of work now. We did a spell of about 5 years where people were getting tired, and that doesn't happen now.
It shows how dedicated your staff were, because they stayed with you throughout.
Yeah, they did. It was fabulous. And we still got, our turnaround of staff is shockingly low. We'll always have that small 5 or 10% on the out, we take them on and they don't like it, but our core, we've people here over 30 years, over 20 years, and we must have 30 or 40 people who's been here over 20 years, and not many can do that.
Doesn't.
And Luke came out with a good fact. And it's something, I think it's over 50% of our staff here have left and come back and are working here now.
That says a lot.
That says a lot, yeah, because everybody, sometimes you take them on young, and everybody they have to go and try something else because they won't know the difference otherwise, and they've come back and they've stayed. So that's a testament to our staff, and You know, we have a good bunch, and I don't think we tolerate anything else, but we look after them.
Well, I think you can tell just from how you're both speaking about Regency and the affiliation you've both got with it. You can see what it means to you both, and I think that comes from top down, doesn't it? I think you can see that throughout the company.
Yeah, I think going back to your point again, since we moved into the the new facility, it has literally moved us up quite a few notches up in terms of everything in space, the latest in technology and machinery. That you can't go any better than what's on the shop floor currently. The personnel, the people, the skill sets, because the company's jumped doubles in sales in the last 5-6 years, you can pay better rates, whether that be a maintenance team or IT side of things or all over. Yeah, managers, general managers, supervisors, they're paid very well, but they do great jobs. And you go straight through the factory here, all across, there's not much weakness, if any weaknesses anywhere. And they're all very, very important. The 130 staff are all a small little cog in a big, big wheel, but all of them are very, very important and all really, really give a good, honest day's work. But we stress-free it as much as we possibly can. And without this facility, we couldn't do that.
And I think, as Darren's mentioned, we feel as though we've got the best kit that money can buy for making seal units. But if we put bad staff running that kit might as well not be any good. So that's emphasising the point of everybody's important. The staff are very, very important, down to anything.
And how do you normally bring in managers or supervisors? What process does that normally look like internally for Regency? Is that outsourced, or is that something that...
I think right from day one, when we first started, the four of us, and we employed a first guy with us, Steve Aspinall, who's still a good friend. He no longer works in the company, but Steve was the first of the 130 that's with us today, all those years ago. And right at the very, very beginning, even with basic machinery, if anything, it was all by hand in the early 80s. It was always about quality and service. It has to be quality and service, otherwise your product won't last. To build that quality and that brand and keep the service to where it is today and better, it depends on so many things. Yeah, and this company, as it grows and grows, that's what it must never, ever take its eye off. It's got to deliver. The customer is always right. The customer, you're only as good as your last job that you've done with them. So we can never take anything for granted, no matter how good we may think we are internally. Externally, we've got to still keep working hard. That has always been the philosophy.
I think your question also about managers, who we employed. I don't think we've ever had a manager. In fact, I'm virtually sure we have never took a manager on.
From outside.
Yes.
We like to promote from within.
I think your story, Wayne, and the example of where you're sat today now is a prime example of it. That wasn't a director brought in from the outside. That was somebody who knew the business inside out and grew within the business. And I think, like you've both said, that's a philosophy that Regency has and Regency carries day to day.
And I think there's so many great people within this business here now that are more than capable of filling a position when that arises. It's just highlighting them people, the skills. They might not be perfect, they might be a rough diamond, but you can work on that. And if we don't know the answer, somebody external might be able to help us. We can always get where we need to get to by promoting from within. And I think if you do that, then that keeps your staff interested. They always look, there's opportunities to move up the ladder, like Wayne, like others, without mentioning names. As you build the business, the brand, etc., you've got to make sure that you look after your staff, promote from within, and you can only do that if you keep driving the business forward and be successful.
If there is anything that you could change within the industry, what would it be?
How long have we got?
As long as you're long.
I think the general public should know more what they're buying. Yeah, I think there's a lot of price-led windows, whereas people don't have time to sit down to explain the actual real large benefits that you can have if you talk about the glass a little bit more. For example, laminated glass. There is a security glass. It's not that much more when you're having a house full of windows, but nobody knows about it. Nobody realises that it's very difficult to break through this, and nobody's educated. They're not educated about, when they've got bifold doors and they're south facing and they can't even go in the living room sometimes. It's that hot without air conditioning. There's glass out there to sort things like that out. And there's not enough education
To the end consumer.
even down sometimes to the window company salespeople. Now, whether that's our fault because we don't do seminars or educate, I don't know. Maybe it's something we should look at. But there's definitely not enough. It's a double glazed window and that is it. That's not the case. So they're the couple of things I'd like to change.
I think driving the old professionalism of the fenestration industry on every aspect, if we could improve that. But then I think you could argue that that's possibly in every field, where you could always improve. I agree with Wayne. I think there's certain things right at the top of the tree, like the window energy ratings, that, we need to streamline that. We need to get it more so everyone is off the same page and we're not using one minute, then the other, the next. So that there's quite a few things. It's difficult. It's a good question, and like you see, you could spend all day talking about that. I think, generally speaking, the good companies, the ones who do most things right, like anything in life, they'll come to the top. The cream, more or less, nearly always rises to the top, no matter what field you're in. And I think it's keeping it professional and selling the product to the end user and explaining exactly what you're getting for your money and what you can and can't achieve, whether it's south facing, for example, or whatever. And that is key to bringing the old standard of the industry, the fenestration industry, up a few notches.
I mean, Darren, it's come on leaps and bounds from the 90s. Whoa.
Glass alone from 1983, when it was two pieces of clear glass together, forget argon gas or krypton or anything else. It was just thinner in between, aluminium spacer bar, probably one of the worst things you could put together for for a double glazed unit. But then times have moved on so much, and the quality now of a piece of glass, quality of a piece of glass now, what you can do today with it compared to what you could do 40 years ago is worlds apart.
So we've gone over, obviously, Regency start, both of your careers at Regency and where we're at today. What do you think the future for Regency holds?
I think we've got a tremendous set of young people coming through this factory, a tremendous set. And even though I say it myself, I think they're extraordinary, bright, younger ones coming through here that I have no fear, and I'm sure Darren's no fear, of when we retire or we finish or we start taking a back step, that it might get even better with new ideas.
I think we're seeing that.
We're seeing it now. So I think you're going to get higher specification products coming through. The technology, to a point, hasn't changed much. There's small tweaks, but the glass is changing. The way people want it presenting, the service is key. Obviously quality as well. But I think we have. I know it's less than 0.5% reject rate to our customers because we study this data extremely carefully, which is unheard of. But that's because of our machinery and our staff. We've got a culture here that when we say we're going to turn up with 300 units on a Wednesday, we have to go there on that Wednesday with those 300 units, because that costs the company. If he can't go and fit that day, he's got fitters who can't go out, he can't get paid because it's not complete. But that whole culture is built into this place, and I think the younger end coming up now have got it in them. I don't think it'd be harder to get that culture out than keep it going. So I just can see it growing and growing, hopefully.
Yeah, I think the future's bright for Regency moving forward. If you look at the graph from 40 years ago when we started, it's gone like this. But as we get here, I think it can go as far as it needs to go now, or you want to push it. You need to have things in place, and I think we've got, like Wayne says, right across, whether it be the shop floor, the offices, middle management, senior management, the structure's there now. We've got lots and lots of fresh ideas from the younger generations. You're obviously part of this, and there's many other great people here, like we've touched on before, all pulling together in the same direction. There is only one way this company will go, as long as you keep the work and the ethics, the brand, the service, like Wayne says. Well, you don't get less than 0.5% reject rate unless you're doing something correct and you're working hard at it. And the minute you think you've done it is the minute you'll start to fall off. So nothing's ever taken for granted, but the sky's the limit if you continue on the same avenue. And we listen to our customers, we listen to our suppliers. We've got our trusted suppliers who, if they don't turn up for us on time, we can't turn up for our customers on time. We're all part of a chain, and we've got to keep that moving, and we've got to be fine in everything that we do, honest, integrity, and make sure that we look after each other and all pull in the same direction. And I think the future's bright.
And I think pointing back, and you said you can't sit back. We can't go, we've got this great reject rate to our customers and sit back and get arrogant about it. We've got to carry on improving that. What else can we do to make it better? Is there a bit of service we can do to make it better? You never ever at your best unless you carry on going and keep making it better and better. Top of my head, I can't remember. I think it was 0.39. I think Luke, when I said that. Well, I want to be 0.37 next time. We've got to carry on.
With that, with the start of the new podcast, we're starting a new tradition. So, as we all know, we have a slogan here at Regency.
Do you know about that?
I'm only Bruce Cole.
Can't have that, can we? So, we have a slogan here at Regency, as you both know. The difference is clear. So, in your own words and experience with Regency, what would you both say the difference is?
Number one, staff. Without the staff, and this is right across the board, without the staff you can have the best machinery, the best facility. If these guys all and girls don't turn up day in, day out and perform to the standards that they're performing tonight, this company ain't here. So it's the staff, number one. Then you've got to have the investment, the machines, to back the staff up. But without the staff, the rest is relevant.
Well, I don't want to keep harping on about quality and service, so I'll try and make... First of all, it starts with your suppliers as well. If we've not got good suppliers, we can't have any customers. So as suppliers, who bring us our materials are just as important as customers, because without them, we have no customers. So, and I think...
we have no staff.
Yeah, no staff. So I think everything from suppliers, customers, staff, are down to being, always make yourself available for all your suppliers and customers. Sometimes personal touch can go a long, long way, as well as with your staff as well. And always be fair. I think that's one of the biggest traits that I like, is always be fair.
There's lots. It's very difficult to just isolate
one specific area.
Specific, there's like any business, no matter whether it be glass, windows, or anything else out there. There's a hell of a lot goes into, running a successful business on any scale. you know, and it's commendable to all the people who are involved in these businesses.
It's been fantastic to chat to you both, hasn't it? We really appreciate your time.
Well, everyone, that was our first ever Glass Girls podcast brought to you by Regency Glass. Keep an eye on our social media for any upcoming episodes. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did filming it. See you soon.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.